There is a specific and genuinely embarrassing pattern that a certain kind of person lives with repeatedly. Meeting someone new, hearing their name clearly, and having it vanish from memory within seconds, sometimes even before the introduction has fully finished. While this same person can recall detailed facts, entire conversations, and countless other pieces of information with real and consistent accuracy. The forgetting seems oddly specific to names alone, producing genuine confusion about why this one particular category of information refuses to stick when so much else clearly does. Carl Jung's understanding of attention, anxiety, and where conscious focus actually goes during first encounters offers a genuine explanation for why names specifically tend to disappear. Jung believed that conscious attention is a genuinely limited resource and that in any given moment it directs itself toward whatever feels most immediately important or most immediately threatening, often at the expense of everything else happening simultaneously. The moment of being introduced to someone new is, for many people, a moment of real if mild social anxiety, requiring simultaneous management of eye contact, tone, physical presentation, and the general performance of a good first impression. Jung's understanding suggests that when attention is this thoroughly consumed by the anxious management of self-presentation, the actual name being spoken often receives only a fraction of the conscious processing it would need in order to be genuinely encoded into memory, even though the person appears and even believes themselves to be listening attentively. This explains why the forgetting happens specifically and consistently with names rather than with other categories of information encountered in calmer, less socially demanding circumstances. A fact read in a book, a detail mentioned in a relaxed conversation with an already familiar friend, receives conscious attention undivided by simultaneous social performance anxiety and is processed and encoded accordingly. A name heard during the genuinely more demanding moment of a first introduction competes for attention against an entire simultaneous performance of appropriate social presentation and frequently loses that competition before it has ever had the chance to be properly registered in memory at all. Jung's understanding of anxiety and attention also helps explain why this pattern often intensifies, specifically in situations that carry more social pressure, meeting someone considered particularly important, or being introduced in a group setting where the social performance demands feel especially heightened. The more anxious management of self-presentation a particular introduction requires, the less conscious processing capacity remains available for actually encoding the name being spoken, regardless of how much genuine effort or good intention the person brings to the interaction. This offers something genuinely important for anyone who has spent years feeling embarrassed and inadequate about this particular pattern, assuming it reflects poor memory or insufficient care about the person being introduced. Jung's understanding suggests this interpretation is largely inaccurate. The forgetting is not evidence of a general memory problem or a lack of genuine interest in the other person. It reflects a specific and predictable consequence of how conscious attention actually allocates itself during a moment of mild social anxiety. Competing demands that leave the specific isolated piece of information, a name, at a genuine disadvantage compared to information encountered under calmer conditions. This suggests a genuinely useful practical technique for anyone who wants to reduce this particular pattern, one that works with how attention actually operates rather than simply hoping to remember harder through sheer willpower. Deliberately repeating a new name immediately after hearing it, ideally using it directly in the following sentence, forces a second, more conscious pass at the specific information that first introduction anxiety likely prevented from being properly encoded the first time. This small deliberate practice does not eliminate the underlying anxiety, but it creates a genuine second opportunity for the name to actually be processed with the conscious attention it needs in order to stick. There is real relief available in understanding this pattern accurately, since the persistent embarrassment many people feel about forgetting names reflects an inaccurate assumption that the forgetting indicates something meaningfully wrong with either their memory or their genuine regard for other people. It reflects, instead, an entirely ordinary and predictable consequence of how attention allocates itself under mild social pressure, a pattern shared by an enormous number of otherwise attentive and genuinely caring people. Think honestly about your own experience of meeting someone new, and consider how much of your conscious attention in that moment is actually devoted to managing your own presentation rather than genuinely processing the specific name being spoken. If you recognize this pattern in your own life, write below the single word for what you notice yourself focusing on most during a new introduction, tone, eye contact, or your own next sentence, rather than the actual name being said. Naming it honestly is often the first step toward finally giving names the conscious attention that social anxiety usually redirects elsewhere. Because instantly forgetting a name while remembering everything else was never, according to Carl Jung's understanding, evidence of a genuine memory problem or a lack of real care. It was evidence of exactly where conscious attention was actually directed during a moment of ordinary social pressure, and names, competing against an entire simultaneous performance, simply lost that competition before they ever had the chance to stick.